Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's good to have you once here again this evening. How was your day today? I trust it was great. You're welcome to this program this evening. It's good to have you here. Please, if you're joining, kindly drop a comment. Kindly drop a comment. It could be a greeting. It could be an emoji. Just drop something on the comment box. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome to this evening program. So this evening we're going to be talking about learn and relearn. We're going to be talking about learn, unlearn, and relearn. We're going to be talking about what it means to learn, what it means to unlearn, and what it also means to relearn. It is necessary that we understand what learning, unlearning, and relearning means. It is necessary that we understand the meaning. It's necessary. Okay, so we'll start. We're talking about learn, unlearn, and relearn. So we'll start with learn. What does it mean to learn? What does it mean to learn? To learn means to acquire knowledge or an attempt to acquire knowledge. Attempting to acquire knowledge. To learn means to gain knowledge, to improve yourself, to improve your business, to improve anything about you, to gain knowledge. Is an act of learning. To learn means to study. To study. When you study, you're learning. Studying is an act of learning. To learn means to come to know about a thing. To come to know about a thing. To learn means to become informed. To become informed about what you were not informed. That's what to learn means. To learn means to find out. To find out what you didn't know before. To find out what you never knew. That's also part of what to learn means. And it is necessary to know that habits are formed from learning. Our habits are formed from learning. And also, from habits, characters are formed. From habits, character is formed. We learn from what was passed on to us by our parents, by our culture, by our tradition. So we learn, like a newborn baby that was just birthed. That child has no culture. That child does not know anything. But as the child grows, the child begins to learn from the parents, from the way things are done, in the environment where he or her is being raised. We learn from the knowledge we acquire from our environment. We learn from the knowledge we acquire from our environment. Good evening, my darling wife. Good evening, my darling wife. It's good to have you here. Good evening. So we learn from the knowledge we acquire from our environment. We learn from what was passed on to us while we are being raised. So everyone is a product of learning. Everyone is a product of learning. Everyone is a product of learning. Because you learned something while you were growing. And it was part of what formed your person. But unfortunately, some of us learned the wrong things. Some of us learned the wrong things while growing up. Some of us grew up in an environment where we picked the wrong things, where we learned the wrong things. Some of us were not privileged to grow up properly. Some of us were not privileged to learn the right things. Some of us were not privileged to learn the good things. When it comes to life, when it comes to work, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to short, all aspects of life, some people learned the right thing, some people didn't learn the right thing. And this now brings us to the reason why you have to unlearn. Why you have to unlearn. Why unlearning is important. So we'll quickly go to talk about unlearning. We just talked about learning, what learning means, and how it forms us, how it forms our habits, how it forms our character. So we'll quickly go to talk about unlearning. Unlearning. Now, what does unlearning mean? What's the meaning of unlearning? Unlearning is to discard something learned, especially false or outdated information. You know, when you discard something you have learned, something that you come to discover that is false, or something that is outdated, when you discard it, when you delete it, that is unlearning. You delete it from your memory. You delete it from your life. That's what unlearning means. You know, some people think they know all. Some people think they know all. But nobody knows everything. Nobody knows everything. People that think they know all, most times don't see reason to unlearn. Nobody knows everything. When you take a step backward, take a step backward in life. For example, you use a smartphone now. Try to go back and try to use an analog phone, you know, like Nokia 3310. Try to go back and use that phone. And then you understand, you realize the value of unlearning. Because you've unlearned that old phone and you're using a new phone now. So you'll be happy that you unlearned the past and then you made progress. This is one of the value of unlearning. The world is changing. We're in a changing world. The devices you use, like the smartphones you use, they need constant updates. They need constant updates. So if you are in a changing world, if you update your devices regularly and constantly, then why wouldn't you update your knowledge? Why wouldn't you update your habits? Why wouldn't you update your character? Why wouldn't you update your beliefs? And then why wouldn't you update your culture? This is why unlearning is very important. Because everything is updating. So you as an individual, you need to update yourself. You need to update your knowledge. You need to update your habits. You need to update your character. You need to update the way you do things. Because the world is moving. Don't be rigid. Don't be rigid. The idea of unlearning may not feel right for some people. It may feel very uncomfortable for some people because they want to stick to what they know. They want to stick to the values that they have. But it is necessary to unlearn. You can unlearn by updating your beliefs and values. Some of us have very strong beliefs. Some of these beliefs were passed on to us from our backgrounds. But when you update them, your beliefs and values, you update them to be more tolerant, to be more diverse, to be inclusive, to be accommodating. So by updating, you are unlearning. Updating your beliefs and values to be more tolerant, to be more diverse. By doing that, you are unlearning. Unlearning doesn't mean dumping things down or tossing out knowledge for no reason. No. Updating is an act of unlearning because you're stepping up. You're stepping up. You're making things better. Rather, it allows you to make room for more relevant and up-to-date information. So you must not toss out. You must not push out previous knowledge. You can update the knowledge. You can update it. That is part of unlearning the old knowledge. Because by updating the new knowledge, it's ahead of the old knowledge. So you have unlearned the old knowledge. Sometimes we unlearn when we change location. For example, in Nigeria here, our driving position is a left-hand drive. But if you relocate to the United Kingdom today, their driving position in the car is on the right hand. So definitely when you change location, you might have to unlearn. So sometimes we unlearn because of change of location. Unlearning is giving up what is no longer true, relevant, or helpful to you. What you have found out that is not true to you. What you have found out that is not relevant to you. What you have found out that is not helpful to you. You give up. You give up. That is what unlearning means. We need to unlearn everything that's holding us back. Whatever is holding you back, you need to unlearn it so that you can move forward. Talking about unlearning. Unlearning represents a healthy and natural step. A healthy, natural, and necessary step in the learning process. So unlearning makes learning healthy, natural, and necessary. In this changing world, it is no longer enough to say you know something and assume that that knowledge will remain constant for the next 20 years. No. Whatever you know now has to be updated. Some of them have to be unlearned. Because the world is evolving, the world is moving. That's why unlearning is serious. So you can't say, I know something, and that thing will remain constant. No. You have to unlearn. You must continually reevaluate knowledge and relearn skills to ensure that you remain up to date. That's unlearning. You have to evaluate knowledge. This knowledge I have, is it still up to date? Can it give me the current result I want? Can it help me achieve what I want presently? Or is it out of date? These skills that I have, these skills that I learned, is it still up to date? Can I continue to use it? Can I succeed with it? So you have to be conscious that the world is moving, that you have to keep on learning. What worked for you yesterday may not work for you today or tomorrow. That is why we need to unlearn. That's why we need to unlearn. So now, how do we unlearn? Let's talk about how to unlearn now. How do we unlearn? Number one of how to unlearn is to be open to different perspectives and be willing to update your belief. Be open to different perspectives and be willing to update your beliefs. Be open to different views of life. Don't be rigid. Be open to different views of life. Be willing to update your beliefs. Don't hold too strong to your beliefs. This is what I believe. Any other thing is not right. Any other thing is not correct. No, don't hold too strong to your belief. Be willing to update your belief, especially when you're presented with new information that challenges your previously held conception. Yes, you used to believe that this thing happens this way, it works this way. And then you get a new information, reasonable information. Don't be rigid. Be willing to update it because it's going to make you better. Be willing to update it. And be open to look at things in lives from different views, from different perspectives. It's going to help you to unlearn. Number two of how to unlearn is to continually analyze, evaluate, and challenge knowledge. Challenge knowledge. Challenge knowledge. Always evaluate, always ask yourself, is this knowledge informed? Is it outdated? Analyze it. Evaluate it, challenge the knowledge to ensure it is still relevant and up to date. You have to reason critically, challenge the status quo. By so doing, you'll be unlearning and you'll be up to date. Number three of how to unlearn is to step out of unconscious mental models. You know, when you formed your habits, when you form the habits and form character, you start operating in an unconscious mental model that has been formed in you. So you have to step out of that unconscious mental model, and then you consciously switch off your autopilot thinking. You know, when you are formed in a way that this is how you think regularly, you've already been formed with a mindset. So for you to unlearn, you have to step out of that your regular mindset, regular way of thinking, that your autopilot thinking. You have to step out of that unconscious mental model that has been formed in you. You have to step out and question seemingly clear circumstances more deeply. Reflect on them and logically make more conscious decisions. So whatever it is that you are used to regularly, if you want to unlearn, sometimes you need to step out of this normal routine. You need to step out of this regular routine of the way I think And they know, say, yes, this thing is a normal thing. Yes, it happens normally. But I want to look at it from a different angle today. Let me think about it a different way. It helps you to unlearn. And you have to be conscious about it. Let me look at it from a different way. Let me leave the fact that I'm used to it. And let me make a conscious decision. Let me leave the autopilot way of doing this thing. So by so doing this, you will stop the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias. You know, confirmation bias is interpreting informations that is consistent in our existing beliefs. You know, the normal way you interpret things when they happen consistently. So you have to stop it. You have to step out of your normal self. It's one of the ways to unlearn. Number 4 is get over your old convictions. Get over your old convictions and embrace new informations. You have to get over your old convictions. There are some old beliefs you had as a child. There's some old beliefs you had some 20 years ago, some 30 years ago. You have to get over them. Embrace new informations. They are too old. The world is moving. Embrace new informations. Most times these informations don't fit into your existing thought pattern. They don't fit into the way you think. But for you to unlearn, you have to let go of those old convictions and embrace new informations. The next one is be open to trying new things. Don't just stick to one old pattern if you want to unlearn. Don't just stick to one old pattern of doing things. This is the way my father did it. This is the way my mother did it. This is the way our people do it. This is the way my uncle did it. Be open to new things. To unlearn. Don't be rigid. Number 6, learn from others. Learn from others. Nobody is a monopoly of knowledge. Nobody is a monopoly of knowledge. You have to learn. Learn. Sorry, I had a little network issue. So I was saying learn from others. Engage in meaningful discussions. Learn from others. Engage in meaningful discussions. When you engage in meaningful discussions with reasonable people, you can learn. By so doing, you will learn. And read to learn about other mental models. You read. You read to learn. Number 7, expose yourself to new environments and situations. Do not limit yourself. Whenever you have the opportunity, expose yourself to new environments. It helps you unlearn. It helps you discard what is not useful to you. It helps you put away what is not useful to you. Expose yourself to new situations. It helps you discard things that are not useful again. It helps, even makes you realize that this thing is not useful to me again. I have to discard it. I have to unlearn it. So expose yourself. Exposure helps you unlearn. Exposure enlightens you. And you know that I've been living in the old. I've been doing it wrong. I've been limiting myself. No, I have to unlearn it. I have to discard it. So exposure is good. Expose yourself to new situations. Expose yourself to new environments. It helps you unlearn. Number 8, say, have a growth mindset. See, for you to unlearn, you must have a growth mindset. You must be somebody that have the mindset of, I want to grow. I want to be a better person. If you don't have a growth mindset, you have a fixed mindset, you will remain where you are. can't unlearn. When your mindset is fixed, you don't have the mindset of, I want to grow, I want to get information, I want to grow. How do I grow? Then you'll be fixed. You need to have a growth mindset. You need to have a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. This will help you create new and more productive habits and behaviors. When you have a growth mindset, it will help you to create a new and a more productive habits and behaviors. Number 9 is, no matter how good you feel, no matter how good you feel you are, no matter how good you feel you are, drop your pride and ego. Drop your pride and ego and constantly reevaluate yourself by using self-assessment tools. You have to reevaluate yourself. From time to time, assess yourself, check yourself. Am I doing well or am I outdated? Swallow your pride. Some of us have too much pride. Nobody can talk to you. Nobody can advise you. Nobody can tell you that you are wrong. No. If you have that kind of nature, then it's going to be very difficult for you to unlearn. It's going to be very difficult for you to unlearn. And some of the marriages today, what they are suffering from is the inability to unlearn. Some people feel they know it all. You can't advise them. You can't correct them. They don't accept challenges. No. No. You have to be open. You have to be open. Seek advice. Seek new knowledge. Some of you, the way you're managing your organization is outdated. That's why you're having challenges. Some of you, the way you're managing your home, seek new knowledge. Some of you, the way you're managing your marriage is outdated. The world is evolving. Everything is changing. Stop justifying your actions to feel good when you know what you are doing is bad and you need to unlearn it. Stop giving excuses. Stop justifying your actions. Stop giving excuses for bad attitudes that you need to unlearn. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stay humble. For you to unlearn, you need to be humble. Stay humble. Assess yourself. Evaluate yourself. Be open. Be open to challenge. Be open to criticism. It will help you unlearn. Alvin Toffler, an American writer and futurist, said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Alvin Toffler is an American writer and a futurist. He said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Because before they realize, the world is evolving, the world is moving. So before they realize, the world has gone far. The world has gone far. The world has gone far before they realize it. Because they have a fixed mindset and they choose to be rigid. So if you don't want to be an illiterate in future, you have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It is possible to unlearn. It is actually possible to unlearn. Because our brains possess the remarkable capacity to reorganize pathways and create new connections. Our brain has that remarkable capacity. Our brains have it. And in some cases, our brains even create new neurons. So it is possible to unlearn. And this concept of the brain having the capacity to organize pathways and create new connections is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity or brain plasticity. Or brain plasticity. So unlearning is possible. Unlearning is an intentional and conscious act. It's an intentional and conscious act. So it's something that every human being has to do because the world is moving. So we'll talk about relearn. We'll talk about relearn now. We'll go to relearn. Now, what does relearn mean? Relearn means to learn something again or learn something new. To relearn means to learn something again or learn something new. Relearn means to update. To update or to upgrade. Relearn means to gain new knowledge. It means to relearn skills to ensure you remain up to date in a changing world. The world is changing. Whether you like it or not, the world is changing. The way things are today were not the way things were in the past. So you have to accept that the world is changing. So you don't have to stay fixed. Relearning starts from unlearning. The process of relearning works with unlearning. Because what makes unlearning work is that as you're learning a new thing, in that process, as you're unlearning an old thing, in that process, you're relearning a new thing. So they work together. The process of unlearning and relearning works together. So in the process of unlearning, you are relearning. So they work together. They work together. Relearning most time occurs in a conversation with yourself. In a conversation with you and yourself. You're talking to yourself. You're having a deep reflection, a sincere and true conversation with yourself, a sincere and true deep reflection with yourself, and you're talking to yourself and you're asking yourself questions. Sometimes it happens when you have a deep reflections or deep conversations with someone you trust, with a partner you trust. You talk to the person, please tell me the truth about me. I can't see myself. Tell me the truth about myself. And sometimes in that process, relearning takes place. You see, the more we are able to unlearn, the more likely we can relearn. Relearning new things are impossible without unlearning. So relearning cannot take place without unlearning. You have to drop. You have to discard what is not useful to get what is useful. They can't stay in the same place. No. So if you refuse to unlearn, then you make it impossible to relearn. So they come together. Relearning is creating new habits. New habits. I've dropped my old habits. I want to have a new habit. So you can't have an old habit and a new habit together. No. That means you've not unlearned. But once you've unlearned, you get a new habit, it comes to stay as relearning. So relearning is creating a new habit to refine and use your new mental models. Relearning helps you create a new mental model. A new mental model. And then the way you begin to function will change. The fundamental parts of relearning journey, one of them is to recognize your biases and mental models. You have to recognize your biases. What am I biased about? Recognize it, identify it. Recognize your mental model. What is my mindset? What's my mindset? How do I think? What's my sense of judgment? You have to recognize all this. And you have to acknowledge other ways. Number 2 is that you have to acknowledge other ways of thinking and other opinions. You have to acknowledge other ways, the other ways I can think, the other opinions that can apply. You have to acknowledge them. You don't have to ignore them. Number 3 is that you must be ready to be challenged by others through conversations. Don't get offended when you're challenged. Don't get offended when you're criticized during conversations. You must be open. You must be ready. By so doing, you cannot learn. Some people get angry. Some people get triggered to anger. Once you just tell them that this attitude of yours is not good, or this thing you did is bad, they get angry and they resist. You can't relearn in that manner. You can't relearn. You still dwell in the past. You have to be open. You have to be open. But the next one says you have to unlearn your current ways of doing things and the way you think. You have to unlearn. For you to relearn, you have to unlearn. The current ways of doing things and the way you think for you to relearn. This is how you relearn. And this one says, when we achieve this, when you achieve all this I've said, all paths are open to us to be successful. All paths are open to you to be successfully prepared for the future. So the truth is that if you don't learn, unlearn and relearn, then you're not preparing yourself for the future. Because the world is changing. The world is changing. It is necessary to relearn. Because we live in a fast and dynamic world where the only constant thing in this fast and dynamic world is change. Change is the only constant thing. Change is the only constant thing. So what is important is your attitude to learn. It's your attitude to learn. For you to be able to fit into the future, you need to develop the attitude to learn. To learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. The Bible says in the book of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, it says there, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So learning, unlearning, and relearning is important. It's important. Whatever you have learned in the past that is not useful to you, whatever you have learned in the past that is no longer relevant to you, don't be rigid. Don't be fixed. Unlearn it and relearn and update so that you can have a better life. So you can have a better life. Don't say, this is our culture, this is our tradition, this is what my parents taught me, this is what I believe in. Evaluate it. Evaluate it. Assess yourself. Is this better for me? Would this really work for me? Would this help me have a happy life? Would this help me have a happy marriage? Would this help me have a happy job, a better business, whatever it is? Tell yourself the truth. Most of us are fighting, are struggling with things we are supposed to unlearn, but we have refused to accept, to unlearn it. And if we are sincere enough, we know that the fact that we have refused to unlearn it, that is affecting us, is affecting us. So tell yourself the truth today. Swallow your pride. Stay humble. Tell yourself the truth today. If there's any bad habits, if there's any negative attitude that is hurting you, both emotionally, that you need to unlearn. Unlearning is possible. Just be intentional about it. And be conscious about it. You can drop it. You can drop it. It's not too late. It's not too late. You can drop it and relearn. You can unlearn it and relearn. The better habits, the better attitude. You can relearn it. And it will help you stay updated. It will help you live a better life. It will help you have a good future. So I'm going to be stopping here now. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me this evening. Those of you that want to watch the video later, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. I'll be leaving you now to have a wonderful night's rest and have a great week ahead. Cheers.